Hello, dear friends. Projeto Flow and the Flow Live Talks. Now with another guest, another special guest, my friend Tony Tarantini from Italy. And here by my side, Gustavo Siemsen, my partner at Projeto Flow. Project Flow, you do your choice here, as you want to call us. But here's a live that we produce every week with special guests talking about the corporate environment, especially after the pandemics. We are now under a huge thunderstorm. We don't have terra firma on site. We cannot see yet a place to stay or how uh, the work will uh, be shaped from now on? That's the main question. Focus, concentration, productivity, uh, team relations. All of this is changing. We are living in each other's homes right now. How this affects and will shape the future of work. To discuss these ideas with me and Gustavo, we received today Tony Tarantini. Tony, I want to leave you absolutely free to please tell us your story because your story is fascinating. You lived in a lot of different places. You built a long career and a beautiful trajectory working with people in organizations. And now you are based in Italy, which was a year ago the epicenter of the new thunderstorm we are crossing now. So, how you deal with all of this? You are married with a Brazilian, right?
Yeah, that's why we are in touch, by the way, as well. So this gave me the possibility to learn this fantastic language in the Brazilian version, much better than Portuguese, even. Sorry for my Portuguese friends if they are assisting here. And thanks, Cadu, for this. Yeah, I am Italian. In this moment, I'm in Italy, and I lived in Brazil, and for 5 to 6 years. I lived as well in Morocco for a year and a half, and then during the pandemic with the family, we moved back. I can say back because this is my home country. And we are here. In my trajectory, as Cadu said, there are many experiences. Looking backward, I can tell a nice story. When I lived this, there was always incertitude and stuff like this. So I didn't know that I was building such a great trajectory for me that brought me here where I am right now. So I've been in consulting, I've been top manager, I'm professor in some business school all around the world. I had the chance to teach in Sao Paulo as well. At the moment, I teach in Beirut, and I teach corporate training in Paris, in London, in Turin from time to time, and here and there when it happens. Now I'm discussing with a possible new business school in Syria that is growing.
Wow.
You know, if they are. I hope so, because I have a special relationship with Syria. I taught there a couple of times before the war. So piece of my heart is there. Syria is a very nice place. I really
Can
love
we
Middle East.
just let me stop you there, right? Because this is news. This is very interesting news. Can we sense here a rebirth of education in a nation so hurt by all this last year's situations?
I think so, even if the situation is not completely stable. I know that there are many countries looking at Syria, and there are many international organizations looking at Syria as a possible place where to, to establish a new page, a new era, a new journey. And since I had the possibility to teach in Beirut, in Lebanon, and I had many students from Syria as well, they confirmed me that entrepreneurs in Syria and also from outside Syria, they are looking with favor, with pleasure. Syria is a very, culturally speaking, I mean, Syria always had an, set of interests like from France, from America, from UK as well, I mean, from Italy, and there are many, many nice situations. I had the opportunity once to teach for a business school directly sponsored, and I don't know if it was built or not by European community. And I met there many professors from many different things. Syria is a very interesting place. They are in a very interesting place in the world, in a very, the connection between East and West and world and Middle East is always fascinating.
The history.
That's where you can see there is a moment. There is a lot of moment.
It's a huge history, tradition, and it must be very exciting to be part of this moment. Please keep us in the loop about the evolution of this idea.
You will. And if some of my Syrian friends is looking at video, that I am always, I have always the pleasure to go there and to participate to any relaunch initiative and stuff, because in my opinion, this is really to reopen a certain approach, a certain, a certain connection with the many places like this, because we cannot close. And this is the moment. No, you can assist this video. We open the frontiers with Zoom, with this virtual tool. So it will be the same at any level. So it will be interesting. And then continuing on this, apart this international, I'm a corporate trainer, and particularly I'm very curious in the teams. I start with the curiosity in the new way of working as soon as the pandemic started, and then I enter also through the connection with Cadu and Gustavo and other friends to these teams of, how to reorganize the way of working, because, even before the pandemic, there was some problem related with the way we are working, the way we're using energy, the way we are managing our skills for timing and stuff, the evolution of the relationship between leader and collaborators, the evolution of the office, and this is something that gave me the possibility to be here today. So it's my pleasure to start the discussion and to approach some teams, because. Even today, Cadu, you saw many things in the news. Yeah.
It's always a pleasure, Tony. I would like to start asking you to give us an overview, since you are globally connected with the business schools you teach and the mentors, the mentorship, the mentorees you have all around the world. And since you have this vision, how are you feeling the changes in the workplace after the pandemics? What is going on now? Because I can tell you, here in Brazil and in Latin America as a whole, I could tell, but especially here, largest country in South America, we have some conclusions after 1 year and so of quarantine and going in, going out, vaccines starting, stopping. We can tell you that what we understand at this point is no defined model of work. People are still working from home, which is not a home office, by the way. It's trying to work during the crisis. That's how we name it. So it's not home office. It's not anywhere office. Not still, or not yet, but trying to work in a crisis. In the beginning, micromanagement from leaders to the teams. That was a huge problem. It looks like the managers are trying to get more mature now by not sending WhatsApp messages from 20 minutes to the teams. They are getting more mature. But you start a Zoom meeting at 8 in the morning and you go through 8, 9 in the evening, non-stop. One meeting after the other, living in the screen. This is the reality now. Large media outlets publishing articles about focus, concentration, burnout, stress, anxiety, mental health as the big backdrop that we are looking here. So, from your standpoint, as a global professional, it makes sense that things like that are happening in other places as well?
Hey, Cadu, in this moment, I mean, we can see this global village is, reacting almost in the same way everywhere. I mean, your question contains like at least 4 questions. So let's start the
Take
discussion
your
with the
time,
more
my
the,
friend. Take your
yeah,
time
yeah,
because we
yeah.
want to learn everything.
Yeah. I don't want to be, I don't know, I don't want to destroy. I mean, I don't want to make the same mistakes as the, homework and stuff, the same
Okay.
thing. So I will try to be very concise and go to the point.
Okay.
And please interrupt me whenever you want, because the points of discussion, I mean, so far, as you said, and in the rest of the world, I see, I had the possibility to work with American groups in this moment, groups from UK, groups from Europe. We cannot consider UK in Europe anymore, by the way, and other groups from Middle East. The phenomenon is almost the same. There are at least two or three phenomena, but we can say that we can assist a polarization. And we were discussing before about this stuff, and this is great because, I mean, you can easily understand that there is a group of some company and some organization that is seeing this moment as an opportunity to rebuild their way of working, because finally they had aware that the way they were working is not working anymore, and even before pandemic they assisted to problem like motivation, burnout, mental problems, low performance, low creativity, many things. No, so they are trying to capitalize. This is the pole that I call, this is the pole of the opportunity. They are making experiment, even reinventing the office, reinventing the office role, mixing 2 days home, 3 days here. They are trying to redefine
A
this. I
kind
don't
of
know if they are on the right way, but they are
a kind
making
of a
experiments.
hybrid model, not yet defined, right? Something
Yeah,
that
hybrid model where the office is no more central, but even in this case, they have to take a decision, because there are activities that can be made in the office, there are activities cannot be made anymore in the office, there are activities that need another different kind of office. So, because now finally, there is like a perception that each activity needs a different layout, a different place, different physical place or virtual place, giving the possibility to people with different approach, with different connection with to collaborate, to participate to this. Because now there is clear this sensation, and we'll talk about it later. And from the other side, there are companies that finally they see this end of pandemic has the moment say, let's go back, we cannot stay anymore. But as we were talking before, many managers want to come back in the office, and workers, let me say, or non-managers don't want to come back because they move in some place maybe far. They know that they don't want to commute so much. They don't want to spend so much money and so much time and so much energy in useless, apart commuting, in activities that now can be replaced. They started to understand how productive they are when they are alone, when they have no distraction, when they have a dedicated place where at any time they can go and run, can make it work out and stuff like this. And this is something impossible, because if you go in the office, because when you go in the office from 9 to 5, then workout is after. And then you will meet people at workout after 8. It's even more inefficient in this way. And this is the big discussion. And among these two poles, between these two poles, there are all the possible level of gray. And this is unbelievable, because in this moment, there is a need to change, but there is the famous immunity to change in many organizations, to use
that's a huge problem. Rogério, my partner that you met when we made the edition of this show in Portuguese. By the way, he's following us here, and he will send some questions from. He's off today. That's why he's not here with us. But he is a very, very strong enthusiast of this concept of the immunity to change, because that relates to a human problem.
Yeah.
Let me add another little thing to this. The difference between a large corporation and the startup kind of structure brings another tempero, another spicy to this discussion, because what we see today is that the large corporations are struggling to be agile, to innovate in the same speed that the startups can do it. So how you see it, Tony and Cadu, the leadership, how do you see in this new future work that we are starting to get in, how should leaders deal with this difference? The large corporation that needs to be agile, and with all the teams struggling with pressure in terms of health, mind health.
Yeah. If you want to start, Cadu, or I will start. I mean, leadership already, they were struggling with this theme of collaborative leadership rather than command and control before. But at the time, before pandemic, it sounds like it was like 10 years ago, but it's just 1 year and a half maximum. They say, okay, yes, but we don't have the tool, but we need people there. I mean, command, how we can control people. There was the culture of non-trusting autonomy or stuff like this, At the contrary, the startup, they already started well, because startups start with the enthusiasm, with vision, and startup, mainly if they have millennials inside and stuff, they have a different level of collaboration culture. And so they already started ready for this kind of work, for this kind of dimension. But even in corporate, even with the command and control, they understood that for innovation, for creativity, for, let me say, cultural and vision, energetic renewal, they need to change completely the relationship. Start talking about autonomy, start talking about people development, start talking about energy renewal, start talking about delegation in a different way, start talking about changing the leadership role, etc. And now I think that the pandemic, with the increased level of burnout, people leaving organization, I assisted in some very good client that they were my client. I assisted the fact they lost a group of talents. They lost the better people, because as soon as the talented people have the possibility to collaborate with a different company, different culture, they leave, they click. Before, they were not so aware of, but now, where the pandemic gave the possibility to show the real culture, the real behavior of the leadership. So now the leadership are under attack in a certain way, because the leaders that are not modifying their attitude, they are risking to provoke a certain number of things, considering also that one of the problems that is causing this pandemic is that we move from presenteism, we can say in Brazil, into presentelism. So people always present to be controlled. And this is something absolutely unacceptable for a reasonable person. What do you think, Cadu, about this presentelism and command and control?
The problem is command and control is dead. We need to bury it. But the problem is still living, alive and kicking in some key segments and key markets. What companies need to understand is to break the paradigm of having results and goals and profit as an objective. The mindset needs to change, that results, goals, and profit need to be a consequence, not a main object. A consequence of what? Of having people belonging where they feel they are respected, they are trusted, they are doing something for a greater good. That's why the word cause and purpose is so hot now. Everybody tells about.
Every company is looking for the conscious capitalist label, even though probably in the real culture they are still not there.
Yeah, because if I can see, I mean, the scorecard of the success is something that is changing completely. It's not just, as Cadu say, bottom line, but it's bottom line, people respect or people attraction and retention, impact on the environment, so sustainability and stuff like this, value-driven products, value-driven stuff, so everything that is ESG or B and sometimes. But to change the scorecard of success, so to change the vision and the culture, I was talking with several HR about it and say, hey, to change this, you need to change 3 or 4 things. Performance management systems, IT, you need to change basic behavior from leaders, collaborators, and staff, and you need to change completely your agenda at big level until the micro level. What do you think, Cadu, about this corporate agenda need to change?
As I was saying, the mindset is still command and control. It's like our old schools with a teacher telling us what we need to learn, what to do, how to behave, and then asking us for some information as in the form of tests. Yeah, so we are promoted to the next level of learning. Companies are the same. This is the same structure forever, since I can remember. So that what the pandemics may offer is a moment of reflection and revision of the model. And when you have people that you don't need to be together to check if they are doing what they are expected to do, if they are delivering what they need to deliver without being in the same place and under the look of the command and control leader, this is getting old news. But when you have this situation where people are measured by the delivery and not the amount of time that they dedicate to it, and they feel more free to have other things being incorporated in their routines. So as I say, as we work with the flow state concept here with our clients. So we have flow sessions. What are the flow sessions? You work focused, hyper focused during 90 minutes, 1 hour and a half. Then you use 20 minutes for recover. What is recover? Go drink a tea, have a cold shower, go for a small walk outside, outdoors. Anything that breaks your mind of what you were doing. Then you reconnect and start again. So you have 3 or 4 of these sessions a day. You don't need someone working 12 hours, as Elon Musk says you need to work 14, 15 hours to be successful and recognize it. You don't need it. You need 5, 6 hours of work, and you get everything you need to be done. And if you have a leader that understands, support this idea of this flow sessions, of not being micromanaging you, then you have the chance of people recovering mental stability, mental health, no more anxiety, no more stress, no more burnout. That's why I say that the flow state is the antidote for the burnout. And I have some questions here now for you, Tony, by the way, in this subject, because we are some people connected here with.
But don't you guys think that this will depend, the real change will depend very much upon the shareholders' pressure? Because until the shareholders put this pressure, the mid-management, even the C-level, can try to do something, but will not really do it for real.
In my opinion, I mean, shareholders are interested in results, okay? Then you have to agree what results mean.
Yeah, but when you change the scorecard of the results, then you start looking at it from another angle. If you are a shareholder, and say, well, these guys are not acting like they should in the environment, and now Wall Street is putting pressure to look to the scorecard in this way.
We have, in my opinion, if we are clever, we need to make a distinction between results and behaviors, how to achieve the results. And connecting to what Cadu says about flows, about all this new and old stuff, I was looking at some philosophical stuff, and I can easily say today that the attempt now to change this agenda, to change this behavior, is a real clear attempt to reconnect to our human nature. What does it mean, human nature? We mean that we have a body that have a specific set of characteristics. As I say, we need to use our energy, we need to recharge, we need to train, we have different kind of energies. We have emotional energy, we have spiritual, so we are fathers, we are friends, we are collaborators, we are not only producers. And using one of the terms that you really love, is we are oscillatory, so we need to go back and forth in the fourth energy. So we need to know and we need to rediscover the way to monitor where we are. Why I'm saying this? Because even if shareholders say, I don't care about people, but I need this kind of results, it's important to apply all the skills, competence, knowledge that we have in understanding how to achieve these results in the better way. Efficiency, efficacy, motivation, long terms and stuff. Because I was looking yesterday to a number that I say in the Best Buy, the American company, each person that go away and has to be replaced costs $106,000. So even talking only about bottom line, you cannot lose a person. So you need to do all the, because this productivity, it will cost you so much that it's better that you treat him well. And they discovered that they were asking for more autonomy. And as soon as they started giving back some autonomy, people did not leave. So, you know, I mean, so I don't know if I answered, but yeah.
And I insist, in the sense of belonging to something bigger, the sense of contribution, because this is now an inner call. There's a movie, very recent animation by Pixar from Disney called Soul that I recommend people to watch it. I don't know if you watched it already, Tony.
Not
Soul.
yet, no.
It's a great movie about this, about the inner necessity of having a purpose. And it says that it's already inside us. You don't need to look outside. But if it's not tended inside, then you will be tempted to look outside. So you need to leave it each day, each moment as a precious moment, precious day. If you have this in the place that you spend 70+% of your life, adult life, it's in the work. It's something around 90,000 hours of your life. So it must have meaning. That's the idea. And when you say about, when Gustavo talks about the shareholders, the model is old. Let's admit it. The model is old, but there's some hope in the horizon. Like you mentioned, the conscious capitalism people. They are doing a great job on this movement. But one of the results I would add is the ESG, environmental, social, and governance concept. That's something that the shareholders need to deal with now, and the impacts of in the way of leading a company with this model of governance, environmental, and social.
And why this? But this is just for opportunistic reason as well, huh? Because the ESG company or the company that have a clear purpose, or that they not only have a clear purpose, but they have behaviors aligned, a culture aligned with their purpose, over time, they perform much better than the others. So just looking at the bottom line. I don't want to talk about values. Just talk about numbers.
Okay, but I would say that's like the Dalai Lama telling you to make the good, even if it would be for a selfish reason, because it will come back to you. Right? So it's a consequence, right?
I think the problem, Gustavo, more than the shareholders, are a certain category of managers or leaders. I will not call leaders, because for me, lead means inspire. So a person that treats people not aligning his behavior to the human nature, that is to be in a certain way that sometimes we forgot. I mean, treating people this way, this is the better way to lead people. If you don't treat people this way, at least do it for economical reason. People rested perform better. People organized well perform better. People in autonomy perform better. People with less interruption work better. People that have the possibility to have deep work or flow moment where they can express at top level cognitive force, cognitive potentiality is people that produce better. So why you need, I mean, talking with some friend of mine, I say, guys, you have a potential or at least 30% with the same people that you have in the company. If you let them work better, it's like having a 30% additional power inside your company without recruiting anybody, etc., because people, I mean, needs just to work better. So eliminate distraction, give them the possibility to have deep work, give the possibility to work in flow, give them the possibility to reduce the useless meeting, give them the possibility to work in a better environment. It means what? At home, where they can work at home, or making a training on the beach, or making something that is linked and completely in line with their human nature. Treat them as humans, and you will achieve at least a 30% of additional productivity. We lost Gustavo, that I think he listened beach and his step isn't.
But anyway, I have a way to cover for a while he's missing, because I have lots of questions now from people that are watching us. So I need to share some of them with you. And I must say, while I'm getting to it, that I absolutely agree with you when you say there's an agenda behind everything. So maybe we could subvert somehow the agenda. Let's see. But anyway, going to Roger and getting a specific point, we see a big hardship on autonomy, on the way that people have autonomy and empowerment in the end of the chain. So when you tell about these bad actors on management, these people that manage in a way that we shouldn't consider any longer, what kind of reshape we need to do to adjust this manager to a new way of working? We need to change the people. We need to train new people. How can we be able to assure that the needs for this new work? And you mentioned before we start the show something about the managers insisting on going back to the workplace now, even with the pandemics not resolved, far from it, by the way. So this I feel that this is the same thing we're talking about here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. In a certain way, yes, because I mean, autonomy means an investment. Then we have to consider, we have to make comparison the cost opportunity stuff. But let me say that autonomy means investing managers in teaching them how to delegate. What autonomy means, because many times you assisting company, people talking about teams, about subjects, but without knowing how to do. We need to teach the technology of the autonomy. Autonomy, what does it mean? It means that you have to give people clear delegation stuff and clear feedback, and to teach them what autonomy means. Autonomy does not mean anarchy. Autonomy means that to establish a different collaboration based on the trust in your collaborator, that he will do his best, but he needs to learn how to be independent. Because, as you said before, micromanagement. What is micromanagement? Means do not give the possibility to your collaborator to take any smaller decision alone. So if he's working at night, for instance, in virtual, what's happening? It means that, he's depending from you, he cannot continue. So he can just make some small some small part of the job without having the complete, not only autonomy, but as you say, the ownership, because autonomy and ownership go together, but you have to teach people and you have to teach their manager how to do this in order to facilitate this kind of thing. So why this meeting mania? Meeting mania is what? Many times meeting mania depends on the fact that you want to enter in any single decision, etc. But leave people work and then reduce this kind of stuff, no? Regard this kind of meeting, this kind of useless collaboration moments and situations like this.
As you know, I have an article Gustavo sent this morning about the Zoom founder.
Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
At Wall Street Journal.
And it says that, what's his name? Let me find here. Eric Yuan, CEO from Zoom, told a virtual audience of the Wall Street Journal CEO Council Summit Tuesday that he had personally experienced Zoom fatigue. On one day, he said he had 19 Zoom meetings in a row. So, if the founder is living the problem, how we expect leaders and managers, this so-called conscious leaders that need to input new ideas for a new environmental work, how are they going to make this happen?
I agree. I mean, they need to reskill. They need to change culture. And when I say culture, because in this moment, I really like to talk about agenda. In this moment, how many of us have an agenda that is guided by purpose and values rather than meat? You know the term of meat. We were discussing, I'm discussing a lot of the terms of meat. And you say, I had a slide about it. We have many productivity myths that are dominating, that are guiding our agenda. It means what? That our agenda is not proactive. We do not own our agenda. We are passive compared to our agenda. This myth of productivity, this myth of always available on different channels is something unacceptable, you know?
Talking about that, protecting your agenda or schedule to get some moments of recharging and things that you mentioned earlier about energy management. And I would love to say that I'm the chief energy officer of my company. Anyway, I have a comment on this very article from the Zoom CEO. The first comment is bright, it's brilliant, and says the following: heck of a CEO who can't prioritize and organize his time. I would be surprised if he needed to be in 2 of those meetings. It's just a way of trying to look busy and important. A lot of aspirational, between quotes, aspirational employees do that. Insist on being part of every meeting and then go, I have a question, or I'm concerned about something completely irrelevant that derails and confuses conversation for the next 30 minutes. Nothing can ever be done with these types around, but they are all over corporate offices. So there's a problem also in the teams, not only in the leaders, right?
These myths are culturally present everywhere. I mean, you just you didn't notice, but you spoke about something. Being present in 2 meetings, this is one solid evidence of what? I can multitask. Do we need more demonstration that multitask does not exist, that we are monotask, and that we need...
Besides my wife, she can multitask. I don't know.
Apart women. Okay. Apart women.
Drive and do the makeup at the same time and talk at the phone. Only they can do this.
Low intensity maybe, but even this, you know, and you know better than me, because now what we are paying. I was talking yesterday with one of my friends, one very important friend of mine that is CEO and founder of a company, talking about the fact I say, you know, about the energy, about multitasking and stuff. Say, yeah, I mean, something. I say, but you know the worst thing? They say what? Switching time. Do you know that they made, this guy is very curious about neuroscience discovery, and say, you know what? There is a demonstration that the same task, if you have 3 interruptions, a task with a certain level of intensity, 3 interruption, at the end, the total amount of time increase of 25% net from the interruption. You know what? It means that your switching time, it will cost you 20, 30, 40% additional time. So why you do not start to divide better your task without having switching, without having interruptions, without having multitasking and stuff like this? This is for me a skillful energy management, a skillful time management. So answer your question is establish a certain set of rituals, a certain set of rules, a certain set of basic behaviors that you have to expand to the companies, and you will see the benefit of this, because you will have like an effect, a factorial impact in this. This is something that people is not understanding, or they are start to making experiment, because it's not easy to change this behavior.
Hopefully, as I told you in the beginning of our conversation here, hopefully even the mainstream media now are getting more in touch with the concepts of deep work, of the flow state, and all you covered by your conversation with your friend, the CEO, which gives me also hope to see people that are key in some operations to now being curious about neuroscience and the impacts of what this can have in our productivity, and even in learning, in mental health and quality time. You get more time when you produce focus with no interruptions. So if you do, as I told you in the beginning, this slow session or these sprints of 90 minutes with 20 minutes of recovery, which is important to recover what? The energy that you mentioned that we need to manage. So these are concepts that are that they were studied in depth in the 70s by Professor Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, which is a legend, a living legend. He lives now in California, but he's a PhD from Chicago in psychology. He's one of the fathers of the positive psychology movement with Martin Seligman, and he was studying happiness when he crashed with the notion of this is not happiness, this is flow, and happiness is not continuous, flow is not continuous, but it's something that you need to build. And everybody here that is listening to us, and you and I already talked about a lot about this, Tony. Gustavo knows about this. Every time that we are really engaged, doing something that we really are, that is significant for us, and we are connected, engaged in that, we lose the notion of time and space. We are really one with that task. And that was what Professor Csikszentmihalyi worked in his research in the 70s. And that's what takes us for this level of accelerate learning, and even the performance, and also some quality time that we gain. And that's the concept that Carl Newport, in his work of the deep work, he also studied that. So we are talking with something that is very human, and not difficult to achieve, but still not absorbed by the corporate world, which would be highly benefited with these concepts, right?
Yeah, to link to what Gustavo asked before, I think that this is a real moment, a very interesting moment, also at cultural level, because intellectually we are seeing the convergence of 3 forces. The science, so neuroscience, is demonstrating something about philosophy, because philosophy, Stoics and stuff spoke about it a long time ago. And economical, because now also the behavioral science, etc., is demonstrating how these bad behaviors are costing to the companies, to the health and stuff like this. So with this convergence, it's up to us to bring this kind of message inside the company, inside the corporation, and say, guys, the way you are working is not working anymore, we can say, with more. And with pandemic, it's an important occasion to change. So where you want to start? This is the real thing, because and we can easily demonstrate this convergence.
There's a good example of Ambev recent hiring a VP of mental health, and
wow.
This for me, this is very symbolic for me, because I've worked in Pepsi many years, and Pepsi has a very good close relationship to Ambev, and I could see from inside how the strong culture of Ambev and InBev makes, for me, it's a very strong dichotomy from what we were talking right now. They are able to give a lot of autonomy to all the employees, because they have this culture of ownership. So once you are seen as a clear owner of the company, you automatically you clean up a lot of bullshit that's normally a large corporation that doesn't have this puts in the middle. But at the same time, what I saw from outside, but being very close to them, was that 10 years ago, many different kind of people was coming to the point of burnout inside this culture. So what I'm trying to say is it's not enough to only give autonomy and ownership and freedom for managers and leaders to develop the work. It has to be more. And maybe now they are getting close to this point where they saw, well, we need a VP of mental health.
And that comes to a point that I would like to stress here. That is, we don't need and we shouldn't rely on the company to make this choice for us of being healthy, mental health. We need to work inside ourselves. We have the resources inside ourselves. We shouldn't expect. But when a company like InBev makes this move, that gives me two messages. First of all, the problem is real. It's dramatic. Everybody's suffering right now. Speak. And as you said, giving autonomy is not enough, because I'm pressured. I have peer pressure. If the guy is going better than me, I have to go better than him. And that's the performance culture is the problem. That's the problem. So
I agree with you. And to add the sum of this, I think that the company and the people do not have the culture, the competence to deal with it, because new competencies are needed now. As you said at the beginning, but I can make a list. Self-control management. Anybody taught us something like this? Never. To-do list, a real to-do list management, complete with the neuroscience discovery. To-do list is not just a list of to-do. To-do list needs something to be done in a certain way. There is the famous guy of the getting things done. How is his name? This methodology. He taught how to do this. There are fantastic examples of this in the literature. The management of the willpower, the management of the renewal. Anybody taught us how to recover emotionally at work after a conflict? Nobody taught me this. Nobody taught us. I received a question from this: how to recover emotionally after a conflict? Which is the answer? Who has the answer? No leadership course talk about it.
The problem is not just how to recover. It's not how to get in the problem in the first place. How to prevent it.
But let's imagine that we go in a conflict.
And this should be...
We have Latin blood. We will go to the conflict.
Yeah. You see the voice. Our decibels show this. We are conflictual by definition. You know.
By the way, the guy from Get Things Done is David Allen. David Allen. But what about this? When you tell this, I get excited, because this is something that we should learn in the kindergarten, in the early ages in school. These are concepts, not emotional intelligence only, social intelligence, self-knowledge, and breathing. We need to learn to breathe, because breathing is a key to get you centered, to to shield you from the stress moments and to not react and not have to deal with that later, which will be worse. So these are things that meditation or mindfulness as tools for self-knowledge.
I agree. By the way, there are, I mean, there is a strong, I mean, a long list of possible new skills to be taught, because now they always have been considered soft skills, something, you know, for tree huggers and stuff like this. It's not tree hugging here. This is the moment to manage well energies and stuff. So to transform, as you said before, any manager in a chief energy officer for his group. But at the same time, at each level, since autonomy can be one of the way to achieve this extra productivity, this extra health and stuff like this, we need to teach people, as soon as people stay at home, we need to teach them how to manage their time, how to manage their energy. Because, as you say, Gustavo, now, if autonomy and ownership means you don't need any boss of the boss to control, you know? A pyramid of control to control one person that works with 5 controllers. Now that you don't need this kind of stuff, maybe clearly you have to reconsider governance, you have to consider organization, you have to consider corporate structure in general. But at the same time, you have to teach people how to deal with this kind of new challenge. No, talking about new skills. Attention, focus, deep work, autonomy, courage, vulnerability, openness, communicating in a different way, because there are also other skills that completely change. Problem solving will change, decision making will change, communication will change, any kind of interaction will change.
Another interesting company to adopt something, not like InBev did, to have a mental health VP, but doing some incursions in research and about healthy environments is Google. Google endured a long research about 5 years ago called the Aristotle Project. They learned that a good team and a mature team and a team that works really well is a team that has a psychological safety as the first conclusion of the research. So we are talking about that. So why this is not
psychologically safe is strictly related with command and control, because if you have command and control, it means you don't trust people, so they are not psychologically safe. They are free to express, to take initiatives, to make mistakes and stuff like this. So the right way to make mistakes is not there. Psychological safety means that, as you say in Brazil, abre mão, leave autonomy to people in order to say, okay, do it because I will, you are in a safe environment where you can express, where you can ask questions and stuff. We don't have to wait that the bomb explodes in order to face a problem. It's better to prevent and anticipate. And by the way, this is one of the characteristics of the anti-fragile companies that better reacted. The companies that gave more chances to the people of the frontiers to take initiative, to take a look at the information with transparency, they were the most anti-fragile at the end because they were the first to react, the first thing. But the companies that have a centralized decision-making with waiting the data, waiting to look what's happening, later waiting to monitor from a laboratory, I mean, they were
essentially
there. Yeah.
Essentially, what you are talking about is trust.
Trust as the base. Yeah, you have to change. That's why this is the culture of trust. When somebody say, what is culture of trust? Culture of trust can be declined in different axes, no? As Paul Zak says and other experts in trust, in empathy says. I mean, start to believe that the people is working for you and not against you. Starting with this and start to have a set of technologies in noble way, no? So, which are the technologies? Delegation, communication, ovation, they say, celebration, they say feedback, they say many kind of this stuff because you need to create a completely different mind where the movement is different. So you have to put energy not in controlling people, but to help them growth. This is a completely shifting paradigm.
Excellent.
And you can start step by step. I don't want to give the impression that you have to need a big bang because all corporates say, no, too much for us. I mean, I believe in one thing at a time, but start, show you are in the direction, show that you can start from a small group of people, sorry, a division, a function, a team, a project, you decide, and you start to make experiment and then to expand this kind of stuff. But you will see that the quick wins will give you the energy, the passion, the enthusiasm to do this. Of course, working and looking at your immunity to change at corporate level is fundamental, but this is not a good excuse to stop. This is the moment to experiment and the moment also to profit of agile, digitalization, and all this nice stuff. But in my opinion, the explosive power of a changing culture and changing behavior can be something in this moment underappreciated even by the shareholders, in my opinion. And I agree about the Ambev stuff is something that really shocked me, because okay, I mean, this is one moment to make, maybe they have a problem. This is a starting moment. But in my opinion, every manager should be a mental health responsible. This should be in the scorecard to give the prime at the end of the year to the manager. How many people get burned out? I mean, I was watching a conference in UK about mental health. And believe me, the fact that the people with mental problems have more absenteeism, more presenteeism, and stuff like this is something big. So I would like to introduce in the manager scorecard and say, how many days your people has been absent because of this? How many days? Which is the level of satisfaction of the health, or that your people show about their health and stuff like this? So this is a first step, but tell Amber, we need to tell to Amber, okay, now the guy had to teach to the other how to be
now spread the word and experience. Yeah. Now, first to your clients, your partners, your suppliers. So the culture must spread. It's not something just to be bragging about, right?
Yeah, of course. Clearly, it does not mean that the job will become happy, and I mean, there will be also jobs that sucks. But you need to learn how to deal with jobs that sucks.
Yeah, because that's what one of the biggest lies that the self-help market brought to the civilization, the modern civilization, is that you need to do what you love. Because if you do what you love, you won't work never in your life. You will be happy forever and ever if you do what you like. But the problem is, very rarely people do what they love. Very rarely.
Discussion on the, that there is a
very rare.
Debate.
I do. If I would to do what I love, I'll tell you. If I was to do what I love, I would be a National Geographic photographer. That was my dream since I remember as a kid. So I love photography. I had a coach.
I would be a surfer.
But I'll tell you proudly, it took a while to understand this, but I love what I do, and that's the key.
This is the difference. In fact, the other school is learn to love what you do.
The impact that you cause in your surrounding. That's the real purpose that you have in life. It's to be for the other. That's why Darwin was so misinterpreted about the survival of the fittest. Someone asked him, "Hey, but we don't have claws, we don't have wings. How can we deal with the wild world outside? Because we have each other." That was his answer. We need to rely on each other. And that's the point that we are missing. Everybody is missing the point. Come on, in the corporate world.
And you say, as usual, we move to philosophy, because at the end, philosophy can save our life.
Big question.
This is something.
So we are getting in the end of our talk. We have about a couple of minutes. It was I couldn't feel it. An hour flew by because we are in flow, I guess. But I need to ask you, Tony. I know that predict the future is something that it's almost impossible, especially now, because as Peter Drucker said, it's much better than predict the future, which is impossible, to build it. So what's your message for the corporate world, considering what we are in the middle of a storm. We are not still in safe harbor.
Yeah.
What do you need to do?
My suggestion is start the journey, start the discussion, at least start the discussion to understand how to change, start the data. I think they can find an important source of productivity, performance, and other components. Start to take a look at your culture, at your real culture, understand which are your real behaviors, because we know better, we know very well that there is a schizophrenia between what is said and what is done. So it's important that the company starts to make the discussion, start to make experimenting groups, and start to see which will be their new culture, their new possibility, because this is a new world of new possibility. And apply, the first that starts to apply this kind of stuff, this kind of skills, this kind of approaches, this kind of philosophy, we can say, I think they will benefit also at the economical level. So I think that this is the moment to do this. And as for the Gustavo, fact about the Ambev, I would say try to bring inside some new competence, some new skills, some new approaches, using people that come from all the disciplines that maybe you need now, because companies are suffering burnout because they have no anticorps. They have nothing to face this kind of stuff. As we say last time in the Portuguese version, corporate is sick. We can say this. Many corporate are sick. If you are sick, you need anticorps. But if you are sick, it's because maybe you didn't have before. So you need an injection or something like this. This is my idea. And talk
Very
because
good analogy.
So we are talking about this. And I said before, I counted like 25 articles from Harvard Business Review talking about this. Productivity, sleep, burnout, interruption, focus, everybody's talking. So now there is a large body of evidence. Start with this and do it. Don't be laggards on this stuff. Work your immunity to change. But first, try to understand which are and what you can do and which is the occasion that you are missing. Just this. What do you think?
Maybe start with yourself, as Cadu always says, no?
Sorry?
Even Google
maybe start with yourself before going to the whole team.
Yeah, if
you don't start with yourself.
That's my point. Even Google created a company called Search Inside Yourself. That is a meditation and mindfulness operation that one of their VPs created. There's a book, Search Inside Yourself. We carry all the answers. We have the answers. We have the resources. We need to search inside ourselves, not expect the company that we work for to do that. That's an obligation, okay? It's being discussed by the shareholders, the CEOs, etc. But you can't wait. You can do it now for yourself, starting that.
Yeah.
Rogério sent me something before we close. How do we see human work, AI, and leadership? Let's schedule a talk to discuss the future of work and our role as human beings and part of a company. So this is very important because this is a whole new world that is being created. And I suggest our audience to watch a new video by Yuval Noah Harari and Daniel Kahneman talking about the reshaping of the work and the world, considering AI, artificial intelligence. It's in Harari's channel in YouTube. You can watch it. It takes an hour. It's a huge and very important conversation that we should talk, Tony, again. Maybe next time with Rogério being part of that because he was unable to join us today. And that opens a lot of discussions. But I still would like to close this thanking again you, Tony, Gustavo, for the moderation and good questions. Rogério, that is watching us, and all the questions we received, not all of them we could answer. But we will schedule a new meeting with Tony. And I would like to say that there's a whole new word coming, but in the end of the day, it relies on each one of us to choose which way we need to go to grow and to be really what we are, humans. So,
this is the message. Yeah, let's reconnect to our profound and true human nature, and we will find a way. This is something that I'm starting on myself as well. So I'm taking this commitment, face to you and face to all my friends.
Very good, guys. Thanks
Thank you
again,
very much.
Tony, Gustavo. May the flow be with you. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, Tony.
Parou?
Já parei.
Parou?
Não
Para.
parei.